California's trailblazing Senator Diane Feinstein is dead at the age of 90. Just ahead, we will tell you how she started her decades of public service and how the country is mourning her loss.
They are asking for better pay and more staffing. Coming up, we take you to the picket lines where Kaiser workers are on strike.
An almost government shutdown, news on Mars, a new California senator, and Madison Wilbur has the national news in her segment, Minute with Madison. Those stories and more on this week's Update News.
School of Journalism and Mass Communications at San Jose State University, your source for what's happening with a fresh perspective on today's issues. You're watching Update News.
Welcome to Update News. I'm Alexis Marquez.
And I'm Denitris Chevis-Rose. We begin with the funeral for California Senator Diane Feinstein. That service is happening right now on the steps of the San Francisco City Hall, where she served for years as the city's mayor. The tributes to her began yesterday as the public got a chance to pay their respects to a trailblazer for her decades of public service. Wednesday, thousands of mourners made their way to San Francisco's City Hall, where the body of Senator Diane Feinstein was lying in state. Some waited in line for hours to say farewell. The 90-year-old died a week ago. She was California's longest-serving U.S. senator and the longest-serving female senator in the country's history. The San Francisco native began her political career when she was elected to the city's Board of Supervisors in 1969 and became its first woman president in 1978. In November of that year, former Supervisor Dan White murdered the city's mayor George Moscone and Supervisor Harvey Milk at City Hall, throwing the city into turmoil.
Mayor Moscone and Supervisor Harvey Milk have been shot and killed. I was the one that walked in and found Harvey's body and put a finger to get a pulse and put it into a bullet hole. It was a terrible time for the city because I was president in the order of succession in the city charter. I became mayor, and it was, I think, the worst year of my life.
Feinstein served the rest of Moscone's term and was elected to serve 2 more terms as the city's first woman mayor. Then, in 1992, Californians elected Feinstein to be the state's first woman to serve in the U.S. Senate. It was the beginning of a 3-decade-long term in that office.
Diane didn't just push down doors that were closed for women. She held them open for generations of women after her.
In naming someone to serve the rest of Feinstein's term, Governor Gavin Newsom said he was choosing a woman named LaFonza Butler, someone he described as an activist for labor and voting rights. Joining us now to discuss Senator Feinstein's legacy and what Californians can expect next is political science professor Christina Mitchell. Thank you for joining us, Christina.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start with Senator Feinstein's legacy. What do you think will be her most enduring achievement?
You know, Diane Feinstein, of course, had decades of service as the mayor of San Francisco, as a senator. I believe she had a failed gubernatorial run as well. So, of course, she's had heavy influence in a lot of policy areas. I think one of the most notable would be her influence on gun control policy and her activism in the federal assault weapons ban in the 1990s, which of course has since expired. I will say one thing that we are observing now in modern political history that's very unique is the experience of having a senator who is 90 years old. That is very unusual in political history in the United States. And we have observed over the last 2 or 3 years a steep decline in Diane Feinstein's ability to contribute meaningfully to the Senate. So unfortunately, when we have politicians that kind of stick around until their late 80s or their 90s, it makes me worry that the legacy that people will remember her by is not her amazing contributions as an early serving woman in the Senate, but instead for these last few years where she potentially was not able to contribute at the same level.
And can you tell us a little bit about her successor?
Yeah, so I have to admit that I am not an expert at all in LaFonza Butler's political career. I know she's been involved in several state offices and state nonprofits, but whenever a senator dies or resigns or leaves office for any reason, the governor will appoint the replacement. So we can see in California, of course, Gavin Newsom chose a left-leaning Democrat to replace her. We may see, for example, if we're thinking about what this might look like in another state, another senator who has been in the news recently for health concerns has been Mitch McConnell in Kentucky. And in Kentucky, I believe they have, I should have looked it up to be sure, but I believe they have a Democrat governor still, Bashir, I think. And in that case, that could really change the composition of the Senate, the Democratic majority in the Senate. But as it remains, we will be replacing one Democrat from California with another Democrat from California.
Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your insights.
Thanks for having me.
It's the largest healthcare worker strike in U.S. history. 75,000 Kaiser Permanente workers walked off the job around the country, 23,000 of them right here in the Bay Area. With the three-day strike, they're demanding better staffing and wages. Reporter Madison Wilbur has the story.
On Cottle Street, here in front of Kaiser Permanente San Jose Medical Center, strikers have gathered to fight against what they believe to be a short staffing crisis and what they say is Kaiser bargaining in bad faith. Lining the streets, Kaiser Permanente workers and their advocates held signs, t-shirts, and pom-poms as they marched for their cause. The frontline healthcare workers are asking company executives to bargain in good faith. The workers claim they are short-staffed and many are suffering from burnout from their workload.
Us workers honestly are not seeing that they're hiring on more staff. We're doing double the work.
Our days at work are hectic. We've been short-staffed for a while, but having this pandemic happen, it got even worse.
On October 1st, Kaiser did propose an enhanced package that increases wages for all coalition-represented employees. Despite multiple attempts to reach Kaiser, Update News did not receive a response. On its website, the company posted this statement: "We are committed to bargaining in good faith to reach a fair and equitable agreement that supports our employees as well as our patients, while furthering our mission to provide high-quality, affordable care." Alongside the healthcare workers on the picket lines were California engineers and scientists who are supporting the healthcare workers' cause.
We are collectively together, showing solidarity, trying to just let Kaiser know that we are united in thought and just trying to get better patient care.
The union organized over 15 strikes across the Bay Area, including Oakland, Fremont, San Francisco, and more. In San Jose, this is Madison Wilbur, Update News.
Dozens of San Jose State students took to the streets this week. They were protesting the presence on campus of a controversial conservative activist. Reporter Laverne Johnson has the story.
Student protesters on San Jose State's campus had a message loud and clear for a controversial figure, Charlie Kirk.
I deserve to be here. We stand united with minority organizations and students on campus. Charlie Kirk is not welcome here, and he never will be.
Kirk, a conservative talk show host, showed up on San Jose State's campus Tuesday. He came to address the student group that's part of his Turning Point USA organization. He bills it as a way to empower young people and promote the free market with limited government interference. The event was only open to Kirk supporters. There appeared to be a large group present. This is some of the live stream from the event. Kirk even mentioned those who disagreed with him and their protest on campus.
When you do not have an opportunity to even hear the other side, then you think you know why you hate them, when in reality, you have this kind of built-in prejudice or stereotype.
And he wasted no time getting to the views that sparked so much controversy, like taking shots at the trans community.
But I would much rather work with Muslims to try and stop the chemical castration of children than have to live under the tyranny of the trans mafia that is going after children and medically kidnapping them.
He didn't stop there.
We're not honestly courageous enough to empower black voices to say, hey, you have to fix the problem in your own communities.
It is those type of comments that prompted the students to protest.
It is immensely disturbing when the campus allows someone who blamed an innocent man for his own murder to be welcomed into our student union.
In a statement from Kirk's organization, a spokesperson told us, "It's a free country. We respect their right to protest, and we invite debate and dialogue. We obviously think they're wrong." I'm Levern Johnson with Update News.
San Jose's mayor is calling for a homelessness emergency declaration for the city. Mayor Matt Mahan says he wants to cut the red tape and get interim shelters up for running faster. The goal is to cut the time frame from 2 years to 1 year. The San Jose City Council is set to vote on the proposed declaration later this month. Currently, there are estimates of more than 4,000 unhoused people living on San Jose streets.
A Safeway store next to the Valley Fair Mall in Santa Clara is closing for good. The supermarket has been around for nearly 70 years. There are sign-ups letting customers know about the permanent closure that will take place early next month. The grocery chain says their store was not meeting its financial expectations. 2 other Bay Area Safeway cities in San Francisco have also been shut down recently. One is near Fisherman's Wharf, and the other is in the North Beach area of the city.
Here's a roundup of the stories making national headlines. It's our newest segment, Madison in a Minute with Madison Wilbur.
Welcome to Minute with Madison. Let's begin. A NASA rover spots a dust devil, a strong whirlwind towering at 6,000 feet on Mars. Former President Donald Trump's civil business fraud trial began on Monday. The judge already ruled Trump was liable for fraud in his business dealings. Now he has to decide how much, if any, money Trump would owe in penalties. Late night shows are returning after the Writers Guild of America voted to end their strike. The strike lasted nearly 5 months. The writers approved the agreement with Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. In Congress, Republican lawmakers dropped President Biden's request for more aid for Ukraine out of the temporary budget. Biden is reassuring allies the support will come. Republican House Speaker Kevin McCarthy was ousted in a vote of 216 to 210, vacating him from his seat, making him the first House Speaker to be fired in history. North Carolina Representative Patrick McHenry has been named the interim Speaker. Also on Capitol Hill, Congress narrowly avoids government shutdown by passing a stopgate bill, allowing them to keep the government open until November 17th. And in final news, Emily's List President LaFonza Butler was sworn in to fill the seat of late Senator Diane Feinstein. And that's your national news in a minute. I'm Madison Wilbur.
Here's what's ahead when we come back.
A San Jose State alumni gets a major journalism award. We'll take you to the ceremony and hear from the man himself.
Animal shelters are overrun with cats. Just ahead, we'll tell you which kind of cat is most affected and how you can help.
Don't take out your Uggs just yet. This weekend's gonna get hot when we come back on our 7-day forecast.
Turns out you can go home again and even pick up an award. San Jose State alum Mark Spears won the Hurst Award for Excellence from the School of Journalism here in this past weekend. Here's reporter Larry Larkin to brag a little bit about one of our own.
It was an unforgettable Saturday morning at the Hammer Theater. San Jose State alumnus Mark Spears received the William Randolph Hearst Foundation Award from the School of Journalism and Mass Communications at San Jose State University. The award is given for excellence in professional journalism.
A lot of the stories I write, people don't want to write about, but I'm really proud of these stories and how I've had people say, man, if you didn't write these things, nobody else was.
Spears' family, friends, and fellow Spartans came from across the country to experience this honor with him.
Really proud and excited, and I'm happy to be back in San Jose, and this is just a really special time for us.
So who is Mark Spears? He's a senior NBA writer for ESPN and Anscape. He has written for years about the NBA, its players and coaches. Earlier this year, he was inducted into the NBA Hall of Fame. Spears graduated from San Jose State University in 1995 with a degree in journalism. He's been covering the NBA for more than 20 years. He joined ESPN in 2016. Professor Emeritus Bob Rucker was one of his teachers.
I enjoy seeing my students do better than me. And I made it to national television at CNN. But he has excelled and gone way beyond.
With so many accomplishments under his belt, is there anything Spears still wants to do?
Perhaps the only thing is missing is probably teaching. You know, after this, I'm not saying that's tomorrow. Certainly have a lot of things on my plate.
A montage of Mark Spears' career that debuted during the ceremony is available online. If you'd like to see it, just go to sjsu.edu/JMC. In San Jose, I'm Larry Larkin, Update News.
You've probably heard by now that shelters are just overrun with too many furry creatures, especially cats. The shelters are begging you to give at least one of them a home. Reporter Carson Wells is here to tell you how and why you should make that happen.
Thanks, Denitris. More than 3 million cats enter shelters every year. I'm here with my cat, Finn. For black cats like him, it's often a life sentence.
Small cages, dogs barking, people coming and going. This is what life looks like for a shelter cat. For black cats in a shelter, that reality may last longer than it would for a cat of another color. According to a study by the National Library of Medicine, black cats have the lowest rate of adoption and the highest rate of being euthanized.
Some rescues have shown that, their black cats just stay longer.
Black is the most common color for cats. That may be part of the reason their statistics are so high. Then there's the old superstition that crossing paths with a black cat will bring you bad luck. No matter what color the cat is, they all have different personalities that make them unique.
You can get every flavor of cat personality in every look that there is. So don't let the look determine what you're aiming for.
For me, it's not really what they look like is important. It's mostly just giving them a good life, and the friendship and companionship and just good memories you have with them.
October is Black Cat Awareness Month, and it brings to light the negative impact superstitions have on these furry friends.
People would be like, what, you had a black cat? Didn't something bad happen or something? And I'm like, no, he was the best cat.
Haley Craig fosters cats and kittens before they get sent to their forever homes. For her, black cats quickly became special.
Those special months that I spent with Finn, I definitely grew very attached to him and just have so many fond memories.
If you're interested in getting a fluffy friend like Finn here out of a shelter and into your home, visit your local shelter. Live in San Jose, I'm Carson Wells and Diane. Update News.
The San Jose State campus may seem to be constantly changing. The new science building is open, the athletic center is finished, so what should the next renovation involve? I put that question to students. With the new science building, the finished athletic center, and the fairly new gym, that leaves students with the question, what's next? I talked to a few SJSU students to ask what they think should be renovated next to see what is important to them.
So my major is nutritional and dietetic sciences, and I can't really think of any buildings that really need any renovation. I mean, all the buildings are pretty old as they are since the school is pretty old. So I mean, I'm sure every building has some sort of tweaks that they could have, but I can't really think of any building that needs major things done to it.
I made sure to ask this question to different majors so we can find out the different needs and concerns of different studies.
I'm a third-year animation student, and not to be biased, I do believe that the art building needs a renovation. If I'm correct, it's one of the older buildings on campus, and fairly small. Sometimes the AC or the heater doesn't work, so that can be like really bad, especially in the computer lab where we have a lot of equipment, and if the PCs overheat, it could cause damage.
My major is forensic chemistry, and a building that I think that we have to reconstruct is the Duncan Hall, because a lot of the facilities inside are like pretty old, and just to be safe, since we use it for a lab, I think it's important for us to like rebuild some of the stuff.
The university says it is launching a $350 million capital campaign to support the campus priorities. Stay tuned.
It's been feeling more like summer outside than October, but are we headed for some cooler temps? Alejandra Vaca Sotelo has your weather forecast.
Hi, this is Alejandra Vaca Sotelo with your 7-day forecast. So what can you expect for the next 5 days? We have some midweek warming in the valley pushing into the 80s and 90s, and we also have some Bay and Coast warming pushing into the 80s, and things should start to cool down by Sunday. And our San Jose State Futurecast outlook shows mostly clear skies and a few isolated afternoon showers near the Sierra. We'll eventually see increasing high clouds returning by the weekend as rain chances make a comeback early next week, most likely impacting areas in the North Bay with possible showers in San Jose by Tuesday. And our 7-day forecast shows sunny skies and warm temperatures out near the coast from Santa Cruz and the midweek to Saturday timeframe. Bayside temperatures from Oakland, 89, 84, and it looks like it's going to start to cool down by Sunday. And in San Francisco, also quite warm with 70s and 80s. Warmest weather for the late week, then cooling on the shore as shore winds pick up by Sunday. And here in San Jose, we'll see high winds in the mid-80s to lower 90s from midweek to Saturday before cooling returns by the end of the weekend. And that is it for your 7-day forecast. Back to the desk.
Here's what's coming up next.
Football is away, but there is still a ton happening in the world of sports. Coming up, we'll talk about the most recent matchups.
And Halloween candy is lining the shelves of stores everywhere. Next, we talk to Spartans about which kinds they will be snacking on this scary season.
Turning to sports, was the Spartan women's volleyball team able to take down Mountain West rival Fresno State? Reporter Lieburn Johnson has that play-by-play and a little news on men's soccer.
After a win over Nevada, San Jose State's women's volleyball headed home to take on the Fresno State Bulldogs. They showed up and showed out. Senior Letizia Camalucci and Mountain West Conference Freshman of the Week winner Nayeli Tia each recorded 14 kills apiece, leading the Spartans to their second straight victory. The Spartans went on to win in 4 sets, 3-1. The women's volleyball team's next matchup comes against the University of Wyoming Cowgirls this Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Now, the men's soccer team battled the Utah Valley Wolverines. Under 4 minutes into the matchup, sophomore Angel Iniguez put the Spartans on the board. Unfortunately, the Spartans were unable to keep the lead as Utah Valley junior Ken Bellini followed up with a goal right before the half. From there, neither team was able to score again, resulting in a tie between the Spartans and Wolverines. The men's soccer team's next matchup will be in Vegas against the UNLV Running Rebels.
Here's Carson's calendar with a look at some things to do.
Here's what's coming up this week. On October 6, Comic Book Bands and Activism event. The event runs from 10:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. in the Martin Luther King Jr. Library, room 255 on the 2nd floor. From October 4th to 7th, the 10th annual Santa Cruz Comedy Festival. 10 venues, 40 comics. Scan the QR code for more info. On October 7th, the Silicon Valley Pig Jig fundraising event starts at 9 a.m. at Excite Ballpark. There will be a barbecue competition. And on October 8th, the Santa Cruz Harbor 8th Annual Car Show. The show is from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on the west side of the harbor. That's all for this week.
It won't be long until you can go trick-or-treating and get a ton of sweet treats. What's your favorite Halloween candy? Reporter Alexandra Vaca-Sotelo puts that question to students this week. State of Spartans.
The candy corn, that's my favorite.
Twix.
Mine's Reese's.
Reese's? Yeah. Sour Punch?
I like candy apples because I like it when it's soft and it's hard at the same time.
Soft and hard.
I like Kit Kats.
Kit Kat.
I like Nestle Crunch. Skittles.
Skittles? What's your favorite Halloween candy?
Oh, I like Hershey's.
I would say probably Twix. I love Twix. Left Twix.
Skittles. Skittles. Yeah, like the little square packets of Skittles, you know.
I love Sour Patch Kids.
Reese's Pieces. I like Snickers. Snickers bars.
Reese's peanut butter cups.
That's a good choice. I love Kit Kats.
Snickers.
Baby Ruth.
I've never heard of that one.
Baby Ruth and Reese's Cups.
We'll be on there.
That's it for this week's Update News. Thank you for joining us.
Be sure to join us next week and follow us on our social media platforms at SJSU Update News.